access is good to go. There we go. Is area access good to go? Awesome. Okay, thank you. I call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order at 5:30 on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. The first item of business is to elect the chairperson for the 2024-2026 term. Are there any nominations for chair? Yes, Alder Killian.
I would like to nominate Alder Martins.
I'm going to remind you to use your microphone if it's not on, so we pick it up online.
I would like to nominate Alder Martins, please.
Thank you. Alder Mertens, do you accept?
I accept.
Okay, we have Alder Martins has been nominated for the position of chair. Are there any further nominations for chairperson? Okay, is there a motion to close the nominations?
I'll move.
Okay, by Alder Gisselman, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of appointing Alder Martins as chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, I will now, motion carries. I will now turn the committee meeting over to Alder Martins.
All right, let me get recombobulated here. I know Gary's itching to go. All right, thank you, Caitlin. I will now take a motion for nominations for vice chair of the Finance Committee. We have a motion for vice chair.
I nominate Gary Gisselman.
Okay, Mr. Gisselman, do you accept?
Yes.
All right, any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations? Not hearing any, we will close the nominations. And all those in favor of Gisselman for vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Okay, thank you, Gary. And establish, item number 2, establish a regular meeting date and time for the 2024-2026 term of the Finance Committee. Historically, for the last term, we've met at 5:30 p.m. And I know we were doing that to the benefit of a member that's not on the committee now, but we kind of a lot of times we run into council that, if we've got a full agenda, it makes things hard. So does anybody want to move the time up a little bit? Is 5 o'clock too early? Yeah. Mary Ann, does that work?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
I will try, but if I'm not able, that's okay.
Well, we could. Okay, split the difference with 5:15, but otherwise we could get rolled. Usually the first couple items aren't the heavy ones, so. So 5 or 5:15. Do we want to try at 5 o'clock and see if it's too much we can always change that time if it's too much of a hardship, or?
I just work, and so for me to get here by 5, every 2 weeks will be a lift.
Okay, let's make it 5:15 then. We'll do 5:15. And that gives us a good hour with time to turn over to Common Council. Previous to your previous terms I've been on this committee, we've always met at 5:15, and that's worked well. So 5:15 it is. Okay, thank you. Number 3, minutes of the previous meetings. That's from April 9th, 2024. They should be included in your packet. Are there any questions or motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay. Second?
I second it.
Okay, a motion from Killian, second from Tierney to accept the minutes from the previous meeting. Any discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. All right, we're moving right along here. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on budget modification for room tax funds for the annual 4th of July firework festival. This came to the Room Tax Commission last week, and the commission was able to partially fund the fireworks festival, but not totally so, because the rule of the commission is that the commission's portion of the room tax allocation can be used for advertising and marketing expenses, but not other expenses. So of their $10,000 ask, we were able to fund $1,500. So now they're asking for $8,500. And Mary Ann, I think in your narrative you said that would come out of the city's portion of room tax funds?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. So would we just shift the allocations with the other entities then, or?
So there's a little bit extra
Okay.
in our share.
Okay, okay. The city's share of room tax funding is a fixed amount by state statute.
Yes.
So but there is money available that we could fund the 4th of July fireworks with room tax funding. So that would not impact the levy
Right.
or the citizens.
And that
So-
festival is new as of last year. It was actually managed by the mayor's office, and it was a way to bring several communities together to celebrate the fireworks. And then after last year, they asked Wausau Events to take that project over, but they also are trying to, I think, get other municipalities involved.
Okay, any discussion? Questions?
I just have one.
Yeah, Alder
Thank-
Tierney.
If for some reason that it's canceled due to inclement weather, what happens to the funds that the city has put in?
I think I see Wausau area events here, so why don't you tell us a little bit more about the,
Sure. Pete Feliska, Board President, Wausau Events. I'll just use the office address, 316 Scott Street, Wausau. Ellie Adderholt, Executive Director of Wausau Events as well. So we are in a unique position because we are firing at the airport versus at Marathon Park or somewhere where there's a lot of buildings surrounding the immediate area. So we're actually going to be firing the same type of fireworks for the Wings Over Wausau Air Show 2 weeks prior. So the process for the event is that it's actually not going to be per se a festival. It's going to be the 4th of July fireworks for the surrounding area. We've already acquired funds from Village of Red Mountain, and we're working with the other communities as well, just as what occurred last year. The airport grounds, we're going to leave our infrastructure in place from the Wings Over Wausau event in the third weekend of June, so that all the fencing's there and everything else. We will be opening the gates to the airport for the 4th of July fireworks, as well as there'll be garbage, bathrooms, what have you there. And so our intention is to allow people to come down. They can bring carry-ins, they can bring their chairs, what have you, enjoy the show. We are using larger fireworks than what were used last year. There was some discontent last year that you couldn't see them over the trees, you couldn't see them in surrounding communities. So our fireworks team, which we're actually using our own fireworks team, Firehouse Pyrotechnics out of Iowa, they're going to shoot larger shells, actually some quite large shells and stuff. So it will be a different show than what you experienced last year.
And I would just add to that for the rain date, we are planning to shoot on the actual 4th of July, but to answer the rain date question, we do have Friday reserved as a rain date if we do need to cancel out there. But again, like Pete mentioned, it's rare at the location that we use just because of the fallout radius that's available.
We've actually only, we've canceled or removed one show in all the years that we've been working at the airport now. It's over 20 years, so one show, and it was a heavy downpour, and so we just moved it to the next night. So, very good question.
okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to accept the event on the 4th of July.
All right, motion by Killian, a second. Second by McElhaney. Thank you. Any discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you, folks.
All right, looking forward to this show. Let's see. Next, yeah,
Just for clarification, that would go to council then the next meeting
next meeting?
for consideration. Yep.
Okay, good deal. So, should be plenty of time. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on a budget modification for roof replacement at the Wausau Downtown Airport. And this is the roof on, if I remember correctly, hangar number 2, and that's the original hangar building at the airport. It's historic, I guess. And I don't know if there's anybody from the airport here, any narrative on that? Or?
I think they did have it on CIP and it was deferred. And then as they got in there to look at some of the damage that they're currently experiencing, there really was the recommendation that this should not be delayed any longer. And so they'd like to actually replace it this year. We would fund it from carryover savings from last year from several capital projects came in a little bit under budget. So if we bundle all of those savings together, we would have enough to replace this roof. I don't know if Eric has more information on that. I was just told, like, people don't believe that they can wait any longer.
It's that bad, okay.
Yeah.
There has been some damage inside the hangar because of the leaking that's happening, and that's recurring. There's been several patches that have been done, but they're just not holding anymore. And the roof is just continuing to deteriorate. So patching just isn't going to work anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we do kind of have an obligation to maintain that building because we're leasing it out to commercial airplanes.
Right.
Things like that. So, you know, those are,
the building is owned by the
Big
city and we
investments, yes.
we lease it to other, we
Right.
lease the space inside, so we have
Yeah.
to maintain the building. Okay, Alder Killian.
I appreciated the explanations of why this needs to be done because I'm new here on this on this committee. And my first question was, is this a city-owned building or
Okay.
privately owned? And the explanations were excellent, so I have a better understanding now. Thank you.
Okay.
It's, any other discussion? So I know that we had this a couple weeks ago, we ranked this for ARPA funding, but it didn't fall within the criteria, so now it's, we're gonna go with this, looking at this route, so. If there's no other further discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, motion by McElhaney. Are you a second? Is it by, who wants it? Killian? Okay, thank you. Second by Killian. Discussion? All right. Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. All right, thank you. And item number 6, discussion and possible action approving sole source purchasing and budget modification for cancer screenings for the Wausau Fire Department. And if I remember correctly, this item was actually in part of the 2024 budget. We approved this as a supplemental request.
We did,
As part of the budget. So now the fire department's coming forth as a looking for a sole source provider to provide the cancer screenings to the firefighters. So, any questions or discussion on that? Okay, not hearing anything. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept.
Okay, a motion by Tierney, second by McElhaney. Any discussion? All right, not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Number 7, discussion and possible action approving VOCA, Victim of Crime Act 2024-2027 competitive grant. And this is for the Wausau Police Department for the Victims Resource Unit. And I think the Victim Resource Unit's been running with this grant for the last 3 years, and now it's time to start the grant process again. But in order to submit a grant, we have to, it has to be approved by the council first, I believe, in order to, because there is a certain city share to this grant funding if we receive it, so.
Right. And I think Graham is here if
Okay.
you want to get a little bit more background information, because he is, I think, expecting that there's going to be a decrease in grant funding. So he might want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Ben.
You're welcome. Good evening, everybody. Yes, we're here tonight to request your approval of our application. It's a condition of our grant to get both committee and full council approval of this before we submit it. And just in review, in the packet, I provided a memo, the grant announcement, and also a draft of our final draft of our grant application. Just as a little bit of background, the VRU has a full-time mental health therapist, a crime response specialist, which is part-time, 0.8 FTE, and an officer assigned to that unit. Then they deliver direct victim services to victims of crime within our community. It's something that really sets the city of Wausau apart from other communities, in that we provide really a wraparound support to our victims of crime. In the packet, I provide some testimonials from victims that we have served. If you haven't read, there have been multiple occasions where victims and survivors have responded to our surveys and said that the VRU has saved their lives, and it's a pleasure to be able to read those testimonials. But the current state of funding is not great. We're looking at greater than a 50% decrease in funding to subrecipients here in the state of Wisconsin. It's going from what was about 31 million that was available to any program or agency like ours in the state to about 13 million. And they have capped our application at $250,000 per year. And over the last 4.5 years, we have received $300,000 per year. So best case scenario, we still get a $50,000 cut. And so we have assembled a budget that is being proposed and is included in your packet at around $232,000, which still maintains all of our essential services, our 3 employees, while at the same time satisfying our 20% match, which is a requirement of the grant. So what do the changes mean? Well, in order to deal with that reduced award amount and also to meet our match requirements, instead of the victim resource officer being 50% funded through VOCA and 50% funded by the city, which was what we projected for 2025, what is proposed is that it would be 25% VOCA match, so we would not technically get any federal dollars for that position. However, her time and effort for direct victim services would go towards the match, and then the city would pick up 100% of that position in 2025. So we don't expect there to be any impact necessarily to the budget of 2024, but will be a budget discussion for 2025. So at this point in time, what we're asking for is just approval of our application, and it's my sincere hope that in a couple months I'll be coming back to you with a request that we would accept the funds that have been allocated to us. But it'll be a very, very competitive grant application season for us, but we're hopeful. We have a proven track record of operating almost 8 years. This was started back in 2016, and so we've been able to impact a lot of lives for the better because of it. Are there any questions that you might have?
Any questions for
Yes.
Captain Graham?
I do.
Go ahead.
My question is that it was for the officer a 50-50 split previously.
Correct.
And then I also read in the packet that the grant would give 25% of allocated to that officer, and you're asking for 100.
It's a little confusing. So the 25% is what we consider VOCA match. So we don't actually get the dollars, but her time and effort goes towards the 20% that the city is obligated to provide as their portion of the grant. So anybody that applies for the grant must come up with 20%, and there's a formula for calculating what that 20% would be. And in this case, part of the officer's time and effort would go towards that.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions? All right. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I would move to accept the application.
Okay, motion by Killian. Is there a second? Second by Tierney. Discussion? All right, not hearing anything. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Graham. Hopefully, this will be fruitful. So, all right. Number 8, discussion and possible action approving a budget modification for the purchase of a compaction roller and paver base kit. And this comes out of DPW. And I believe they want to use carryover and/or surplus funds. So, I don't know, Eric, do you have anything to add to this? Or I noticed there were several quotes inside in the packet here for different compactors. So I don't.
There were, and they all came from cooperative purchasing. So we were just trying to compare prices and then the type of equipment that we would get and what we would need. So, and then the memo shows the reason that this is coming to council tonight as well is because in order to get the 20% discount from the cooperative purchasing, they, right now they're saying that's only good through May 2nd. So we couldn't wait till the next council meeting. So, but if anybody has questions on what's presented, please ask. Yeah.
Any questions on this? And I think is this a replacement or is this a new piece of equipment? Or?
This is new.
Okay.
Yep. So this will be added to our fleet to improve our efficiencies in paving.
Okay. And we've made a commitment to more paving, not just resurfacing, but rebuilding our roads. So that, I guess this would be an essential tool for that. So, all right. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, motion by McElhaney. Second by Tierney. Discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. And I think you're on in the seat again there, Eric. Number 9, discussion and possible action approving the proposed capital projects approved by the WDNR Environmental Loan Fund for 2024.
So with the new bill funding that came out in 2022, we're actually finally be able to apply for some of those funds, or actually some of them are becoming available through the state. And so for the 2024 season, we applied for several projects. The projects that are listed here are all the ones that the DNR has allocated or awarded funding for the city. And so based on those projects, there's the Clean Water Fund is for sanitary sewer, and the Safe Drinking Water is for drinking water, right? And so if we look at the first set on the table, which is the Clean Water Fund, you'll see 5 separate projects. The one project that I would say that we would like to hold and reapply for is the Cherry and Crocker Street lift station rehab. I don't think we're going to be ready this year to bid that project, and we've had some design changes this year, and I think we might actually have an opportunity to do a little bit better on the funding and possibly principal forgiveness. So, but the other projects, I would recommend with the borrowing rates and also the principal forgiveness that we move forward with those.
Okay, and I believe that there was a memo here from Ehlers, and it said that because the borrowing of this would be through the waterworks, wouldn't it? It's not
Yes.
general obligation, but it's revenue bonds.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, was this the siphon replacement? I thought was that done last year, or was that a different siphon line?
Different. We actually have 3. So the other 2, the main ones, have been replaced already. This is a small one that's down by Washington Street across from the Chamber of Commerce that
Okay.
freezes every year. So
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions, discussion? Alder Killian?
I see that Eau Claire Boulevard and Stettin Drive to Stewart Avenue were not awarded principal forgiveness. Is there a it says that we can wait to apply for those. What are the reasons that we don't wait to apply for those?
Well, Eau Claire Boulevard is currently under construction, so that's we're moving forward with that one. The Stettin Drive one, I'm certainly okay with holding that and applying next year for that to see if we can add principal forgiveness. I think we're not quite ready to bid that one either. And so for drinking water, that, if there was one, I would hold that one as well. And we'd reapply for the following year.
So in your opinion, would that be a good idea?
I think so. I mean, I think, and if we're not quite ready, and then any chance, that we might get better funding, right? Then I think there's an opportunity there, so.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
It's good.
All right.
I would just point out, too, that the GAC treatment project, we borrowed for that June of '23, 17.5 million, which was considered a note, anticipation note, because it's just a one-year issue, knowing that there would be a balloon June of '24, and we would refinance that with permanent financing. So that GAC treatment, the $12 million isn't really new debt, it's just replacing the existing, which really it will go down because we borrowed 17 million.
Which actually, so with the grant funding and the principal forgiveness we received, that will lessen our obligation then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Or, Killen?
Move forward on the projects except Cherry and Crocker as was indicated and hold off on Stettino.
Okay. I don't think your microphone was on, but just to re-clarify, Killian made a motion to approve the projects with the exception of Cherry and Crocker Street and Statine Drive to Stewart Avenue. Is there a second? A second by McElhaney. Discussion?
I would also add that we'll be bringing, further documents forward when those loans have been finalized with the DNR and the DOA, and there'll be proper approvals that go on to council as well
We'll
for
be-
that issue.
We'll be
Yep.
seeing the actual loan notes. when
Yes.
they- Yeah,
In
when,
the
correct.
GAC in June, because that's when it's
Yeah.
refinancing. The other ones, we don't have a final date yet, I don't think, on those.
No, but they might come in groups
Yeah.
to you, but, yeah.
so we'll be seeing this again, so. Any other discussion? All right, not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? That carries. All right, thank you, Eric. And item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding ARPA funding requests and related budget modification for the Wausau Water Works solar array. And there was a fair amount of information in our packet about the solar array, but I don't think the task force has made a presentation yet. So, on,
There have been presentations within the task force at our meetings, and the information that was presented in the packet was the kind of the final analysis that was done for that. And they made a recommendation to pursue a solar array and do further design and analysis to the Wausau Water Works Commission to take that over. But this is a request for to help supplement the capital cost of the solar array to ARPA. And so, obviously, when you look at some of those payback periods, there's some other work that we have to do, like shifting how we operate the water treatment facility, right? When and how we use power usage. And so we'll have to do a lot of reprogramming on that if this comes to fruition, because we want to use power at times when we're not on peak power. And then also we're trying to maximize our solar array and usage of that, during those times when we're actually generating power.
because I'm guessing we want to sell power at peak rates, but we want to buy it at
Correct.
budget rates.
Yeah,
So,
right,
Okay.
yeah.
Eric, would there be
Yep.
additional costs then to change that with the, I guess, the things needed for the
For
water
the
plant?
programming?
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be some with our consultant. I think our staff will be able to make some of those changes, but we likely would have to spend some additional operation dollars to reconfigure some of that SCADA and some of our automation. Yeah.
Alder Henke, you're in the back there. Did you have anything you wanted to add, or it looked like you had something to say?
Yeah, thanks. We will be presenting this to the Water Commission and to the full council. We actually took a motion at our last meeting to finalize on one of the designs, and I just wanted to get it in front of you guys as soon as possible so that if there's any ARPA funds available, we can still capitalize on those. So
Okay.
that's why we brought it forward. But yes, there will be a presentation coming soon,
Okay.
May timeframe.
Mary Ann?
I was just going to add, so the Finance Committee, the city received $15 million of ARPA funds. We did several public input sessions to get information from the residents on how they felt we should use the funds. We put together an application process, and the Finance Committee was given the authority to kind of review those. We have a formal ranking process that we go through. So historically, we've had the departments or someone submit their requests and then give a presentation as we are tonight. And then we give the committee time till the next meeting to actually rank it and then decide whether they want to fund it. You don't have to feel obligated to fund all of the requests. If you want to fund portion of it, this project isn't going to be in, as far as the ARPA funds are concerned, we have to have all of the money committed by the end of December of 2024. So we are getting close to that final commitment time. And I will include in the next packet where we are on our spending. We've been recently implemented a more stringent monitoring process, so the departments are updating where they think they are on their spending. We were relatively nervous about getting everything committed, and then on Good Friday, we received an email from the Treasury kind of relaxing some of the rules that they had previously had about changing commitments after that December 31st, 24, that's going to make it a lot more flexible. For example, questions were, well, if we have an audit and an auditor finds a cost ineligible, would we just lose that money then? Because it maybe would happen after the December 24th period. And they've given us feedback, no, you can exchange it for a different project. Before that news announcement came out, we weren't allowed to spend it on payroll after December 24. They've relaxed that, and we can now spend that through 2026 as long as that position was created before December of 24. So it's not quite as scary, I guess, looking at our commitments and where we'll be at December 24, but we do want to get the funds committed because that, definitely is a requirement of the program.
Yeah, and I guess to add, today, because I know a lot of the people here on the committee are new, that we don't have to make a commitment or an obligation today.
Right.
For this of using ARPA funding for this particular project. Right now, we're more information gathering, and what we'll do is go back and rank this project using our matrix that we've always used in order to, sort of figure out the appropriateness if this is something that we want to use ARPA funding for, and then come next meeting we can make a more informed decision. So, any questions?
I do have one question. In the packet of information, we were shown different scenarios on how this might look, the solar array. And I was just wondering, is there a cost difference in these different proposed?
Yeah, the size of the array makes a big difference in the cost. And so we were trying to balance a lot of things, right? The solar array task force with the community engagement, what the neighborhood wants, trying to fit it into the neighborhood, as well as trying to kind of maximize how the solar is going to be used at the plant, right? So we're never going to be able to generate enough power to have it stand alone, So we were trying to figure out the best way and size of the array that we could help offset not only the energy usage, but the cost to the utility. And this is like kind of longer range thinking, right? We're looking at 25, 30 years down the road. So the less operational costs that we can have impacts every person in the city and every ratepayer. And so if we can try to get that payback by reducing the capital costs in a shorter period of time, this will help mitigate any sort of rate increases in the future because it's going to reduce our operational costs when we go in for rate cases. Yeah.
And how many years do you think it would take to pay for itself, so to speak?
Yeah, the array that we're looking at is really anywhere from 12 to 15 years. There's a warranty on the panels of 25 years. It's anticipated that these panels would be operating for about 25 to 30 years. So about half, it would take about half the life. Obviously, if we use some ARPA dollars, those years will come down. Yeah, so that's without the ARPA dollars. And there are some tax credits that we get that we're now eligible for through the Inflation Reduction Act. And that's 30% of the cost of the project. We'll get that funding directly back. And up until last year, that was never offered to, entities that are non-taxable. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good question. Any other questions? All right, so we don't have to take any action on this today.
Nope.
So what we'll do is Marianne will send out a spreadsheet with the matrix, and then get that. You can think about the project, get it rated, and get it back to her before our next meeting. So, all right. Okay. And with that, we're at the bottom of our agenda, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by McElhaney, a second. Second by Tierney. All right, non-debatable, so all those in favor say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.